small projects that are $100,000. There's not a lot of movement with respect to those projects. They're fairly easy. You turnkey them and you're finished. But the projects that we're reporting on this evening, there are 7. These projects are as complex as any projects that I've ever undertaken in my career. And so the dynamics of these projects change over 3 or 4 months at a time. With respect to the Winter Haven Tennis Center, we're going to give you an update on it. The 7th Street Complete Street Project, we'll give you an update on the South Central Project, South Central Park Project, pardon me, and the Lake Mall Park Project. As you know, we finally got our taking permit for the sand skinks last Friday. And our Parks and Recreation Director has an original copy that he is willing to hold up to be able to prove that we have our permit. So that took a lot of work on the part of our congressional delegation. They really came through for us. Michael Stavrez, our assistant city manager, really led that charge, working with them. They never gave up. We stayed with it, and you know that's really what a team is all about. And then, of course, the last project is going to be the master lift station at your Cheney Lakeside. I'll yield to Assistant City Manager Michael Stavrez.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and members of the audience this evening. What I want to do first off is give you a little walkthrough of what this capital project status report is and how it works. And this is for the benefit of the audience as well. I want to talk first about Winter Haven Tennis Center. This project commenced in August of 2017. This is a design build contract. Project cost on this is about $2.7 million. Remember back to when we looked at renderings, the upper left-hand corner, that is looking at the front entrance of the tennis court complex from the roadside of 3rd Street. The middle picture is kind of a bird's eye view if you were standing atop Normale Hall. Looking back to the northwest, you can see the 4 courts, or the 5 courts across the bottom. That center one is the one hard court. And at the bottom, the image you see is looking from the kind of internal patio on the back side of the tennis courts. That long structure you see in the middle is the elevator that we have to get to the 2nd level of this facility. This is what the facility looks like today. Actually, this was last Tuesday. This is an aerial drone flight that shows you what the construction, what we've done out there. I want to recognize Andrew Osborne, who is here somewhere. Andrew, if you could stand up for me. Andrew owns a local company called Polk Drones, who we have contracted with to do some work for us on 2 of our big projects, South Central Park and Lake Maud. But he's able to fly these so we can capture real imagery of what's going on. We can update these as we do presentations. Again, you can see that all that center part is brick pavers. We have tables and chairs that will go in those areas. It becomes great event space. When we're doing tournaments, it's a good place for players to hang out, and spectators and parents and the like while folks are on the courts. The pickleball court that you see right in the middle there, that is still being painted in this imagery, as was the hard court on the north side, the tennis instructional court. All new parking along the front edge. Again, as I said, May 9th we'll have the official dedication on this, and we invite everybody to come out and celebrate this wonderful facility. This is getting a lot of talk within the tennis community right now. Great new facility in Polk County, right here in Winter Haven. Lake Maud Park, this project began in February of this year. Project completion is September of this year. It's a $4.4 million project. And we fought a long, hard battle with our folks in DC and across the state, actually throughout the eastern seaboard, it seems, trying to get that sandscape permit. I wasn't sure if I was going to bring home a uniform for my daughter before I brought home a sandscape permit, because I think they were both equally as rare. But we got that last week, and we are going to approve mitigation credits hopefully this evening for us to go out and purchase and get that completely done. In the upper left-hand corner, this is what the project will look like at full build-out, with 3 football fields. The one to the upper right is the what we consider a stadium field or championship field that has the permanent bleachers associated with it. The 2 that are to the left represent practice fields that can be converted from football to soccer, to baseball, whatever the need may present. What we're starting off with is phase 1, which is going to be in this lower right-hand corner. You can see it's got that main football field, it's got the playground, the pavilions, the concession, and then all this green space, which will eventually become future football fields, is just being established as green space so we can do events, we can do practices, and the like out there. For a point of reference, the area of sand skink habitat that we were working with was along this far eastern edge here. This will give you what the site looks like today compared to when you were out there in February. You can see it's been, for the most part, completely cleared. Again, this is that sand skink habitat that we will now be able to get in and begin work on. That was a buffer zone that we had in there. Access road you see coming in, that is part of, we'll take you back to the parking facilities. One thing I do want to talk about real quick on this, if I can pause it, and back it up just a hair. This site, all sites you run into certain challenges with, nothing that you can't overcome. But one of the things that we found with this site is in this general area here, we found some debris that was subsurface, some old burned down trees and whatnot. Some of that could have been from the 2004 hurricanes when this site was used as a debris reduction site. Some of it could have been from when this site was a former orange grove and was cleared if they did any of the burning at that point of those old citrus trees. The site was cleared when the city acquired it in the late 90s, early 2000s. So we've been working with Larry Madrid as a geotechnical engineer and consultant, as well as our contractor, the team from Panoni, to identify what these areas are, come up with the best solution on how do we mitigate for that in the long term. We'll be bringing something back for you probably in a couple of weeks on how we're going to deal with that. But nothing we can't take care of. It's just one of those things that comes up. You know, you find buried treasures in every project, and that was the one for this project. So let's start this back up. The lake that you see up to the upper right, that's going to be Lake Maud. You're now flying over 7th Street, so the baseball or softball field you see to the north there, or the south, that is the Diamondplex complex. And this project is moving along very well. There's buildings coming out of the ground right now. If you were to drive by, you would see the concession facilities coming up. The Master Lift Station, this project commenced over a year ago, January 2017. Our project completion will be about the next probably 45 days. This is a massive utility project for us. Just a little background on this site, if you're not familiar with the utilities, there is approximately 4 million gallons of raw sewage every day that flows through this site. This is a critical piece of infrastructure for the city of Winter Haven, its residents, its businesses, and visitors alike. Everything that gets flushed in this upper part from Chain of Lakes all the way north is flowing down through our system, processes through this site before making its way to a force main out the wastewater treatment plant 3. So you can imagine how vital this is. If something were to go wrong with this site, we're really in it. Our construction cost is about $3 million right now. We didn't have any frontline imagery of this, but this is the actual site today. So that's where you see all that traffic moving. That is US Highway 17. You'll see a ball field come into the view on your left here. The actual lift station, as it exists today, is this little brown building right here. The new lift station is all this green and blue piping that you see right here. The station today, you drive by US 17, you get that wonderful aroma. That's because that's an open system. There's wet wells within that little brown building that basically, they vape up. The new building is a contained, concealed site. These little panels right here, that is the top of the wet cells. Those are about 30 to 35 feet deep. It's all gasketed around there. And so you don't get that aroma coming out of there. I'm going to pause this for just a second. A couple things to point out with this site. When the building is complete, there will be a concrete wall that comes along all 4 sides of this, so it won't be visible. That's part of the original design. We expanded that a little bit in light of the field house coming into this site as well. We want to make sure we don't have an eyesore sticking out there. The brown building will get demolished as we move forward on this project, and we transfer everything over into the new system. In addition, the old wastewater treatment plant 1 building, which sits right here, will also be demolished in conjunction with this project, because the new field house, as you know, is going to come off of the building, the chain of legs and come all the way down towards this. One of the things that I really want to point out is this little black column right here. This is one of our odor control features. This is a carbon filter system that any odors that come out of this system pass through that first, so that this basically causes all that to go away, for lack of a better description. We have 2 of them on this site. On the old site we had 1, it was located up here at Phase 1. The new ones, there's one right here, and there's one at Chain Lakes Complex immediately adjacent to the chiller system. So we had a bit of an issue with some odor, Mayor Dancer, you pointed out a few weeks back during some of our productions. That was in the transition, getting these systems online. All that is back up and running just the way that it needs to. We've not had that problem since, and our expectation is that we will not have that going forward, nor will you have the ambient odors as you drive US Highway 7. South Central Park Improvement Project, we started in September of 2017. We'll wrap up September of this year. As you can see, the cost of this is $4,444,444 in typical construction fashion. This project is just a great project to see downtown. You can see a lot of activity happening down there if you drive through the area. In the upper right-hand or left-hand corner, that is looking from the intersection of 4th Street and Central Avenue. So this building you can see right here is actually Arabella's. You're looking kind of the southwest. This is, you can actually see these columns in this little wall being constructed right now in the park. This is Central Avenue, and this would be Central Park Fountain right here. So that's looking north. And then this one at the bottom is going to be 3rd Street headed north. So Jesse's and Jensen's would be sitting right here. This is Magnolia Avenue. And remember, we talked about Magnolia Avenue closes down as a vehicle corridor, it becomes more pedestrian mall. If you drive through that area today, this is what you're going to see. This again was shot last Tuesday. I think that may have been one of the first days that we had Central Avenue back opened up. You can see 5th Street there is also opened up. 5th Street's going to run right here. This is going to be Avenue A, and then Magnolia. If you are down there today, Magnolia Avenue no longer exists in that corridor. And half of 4th Street, which is right next to Arabella's, all this parking is done, the parking piazza, and this section of the roadway is now being taken out. So that is progressing very nicely. Lots of intricate detail that goes on with this project. There is more brickwork in this project than I think all the other projects I've ever worked on combined. But some really cool things happening there, and I think you're going to see a lot of excitement about for businesses down in that area once we get it complete. Commissioner Powell, did you have a question?
Yeah, what's going to happen to the contract, the old railroad?
So that building, what Commissioner Powell is speaking of, sits right here. It was the J.T. Smith & Sons construction offices. It was purchased by a gentleman by the name of Steve Kasha probably 2 or 3 years ago. When I was down there just before the meeting, I think his son is operating that as a custom cabinetry offices right now. What long-term it becomes, I'm not real sure, but he's done a beautiful job restoring that. And when you look at Magnolia Avenue and how that's going to tie in between the Andy Thornall property and that, it'll be a really nice addition. I think we'll be very pleased with that. 7th Street Improvement Project, again, Watson Civil Construction has been a low bid on this, just over $2.6 million. Expect to get under construction in June of this year. It'll be about a 365-day construction window. Goes from Lake Howard on the north, where the Women's Club is, the big pink building there, at 7th Street in Lake Howard Northeast, all the way down to the idle zone, or Marine Supply, where 7th Street dead ends into Lake May. What you see on the bottom is an internal rendering of what this project will look like. Very similar to the 3rd Street project we did down here by the BB&T Bank. Trail on one side, landscaped stormwater swales, right-sized road, more swales on the opposite side, and a 5-foot sidewalk. You'll also have new drainage in there for stormwater, as well as new street lighting, period lighting to really enhance that area. We don't have any construction to show you, although we do have the water line that is going in right now. There's a little bit of construction you can see at some of the intersections. But this gives you a good idea of what this corridor looks like today. It looks like an old corridor. It truly does. You see there's segments of where we have sidewalk, segments where we don't have sidewalk. It's kind of a haphazard asphalt through here. The crown of the road is not centered. The road does not always lay particularly within the center of the right-of-way. So we've got a lot of opportunity to really enhance this whole corridor. We're hearing from real estate folks that they've got a lot of interest in what happens with this road, that what it's going to do for this particular historic neighborhood is going to be very significant. So we also have some businesses along here. Our utility supply offices are here. This vacant lot, which was the former city public works compound, is still privately owned. It'll be interesting to see if anything happens with that as a result of this being a catalyst for this project. And then finally, I want to talk about our taxiways at the airport. We have several projects within the report talking about the airport, but the taxiway is the one that's going to be coming to completion here. It's a $4 million project, $4.1 million. And again, I don't have any original renderings, and we can't fly a drone out there. I think Andrew loses his license or something to that effect. But you can see this is one thing I do want to show you, just one final piece here. And I'll be happy to answer questions on any of these projects. All of our project managers are here tonight. Managing 26 projects, there's probably, I don't know, 40, 45, $50 million worth of projects in here, not counting Channel X Complex Fieldhouse. These are things that have been going on a long time, a lot of grants tied in with them, a lot of things happening in Winter Haven City. It's pretty exciting. But it is challenging to manage that. So we work with Polk Drones that we actually do. We're doing this with two of our projects, South Central Park and Lake Maud. So Andrew goes out and flies these sites for us every 2 weeks, so we can do real-time updates and when we're having construction meetings and the like. So just to give you an idea, this is one of the tools that we're using now. This is South Central Park that was flown via drones today. So you can see, here's all that new parking that was done. You can see here's where they've already started ripping out all of 4th Street. As you come down, there's Magnolia Avenue, or what was Magnolia Avenue. That's that building that Steve Kosh has purchased. This is one of those future parking piazzas. So this is one of those tools that we use as often as we can when we're having to deal with issues that we can't be out in the field. We can bring these up and we can actually do comparisons of all of our projects. We've got, as you can see, several different flights that we've done. We can do them side by side. We can compare them. It's just become a great tool for us in working through some of the issues we deal with. So I want to just give that up for Andrew's a local guy with a local business doing some amazing work there. And definitely want to thank Steve Elias, Dave Carter, John Howe. We got a lot of folks from our local community that are helping make these projects happen. Thank you, T. Commissioner, got any comments or questions?
I mean, you know, you look at where, when I came on the commission just in January, where we started and where we're at today. Great job, guys. Keep it up.
Thank you, sir.
I want to compliment the city manager on this project status report that she provided us. This is a very succinct report that I refer to frequently, and I think this is a great idea to make that available to us and also to the public. So I compliment you for using this strategy. When you look at this page, it's kind of heavy and thick. There's a lot of stuff going on. So I know you guys are running things have got your hands full. So keep it up. So good job, T.